The U.S. equity market turns volatile again. What should we watch now for the market?
Yeah, well, that's an interesting question, isn't it? Because if you look at the US economic data, it's still really positive. I mean, it's Christmas time and retail sales have been really good. The employment numbers are still pretty strong, even though the last month wasn't as strong as it has been recently. The unemployment rate keeps coming down. Wages are going up, which is good for the American consumer. Consumer spending and consumer confidence has been good. You kind of wonder, why is the US market selling off? And I think the reason why the US market's selling off is multi-pronged, and that's kind of where the volatility is coming from. So we're 2 years into a rate rising environment, so obviously real rates are starting to become a concern for people paying interest. But you've also got the global risks. So you've got Brexit, you've got the trade war, and you've got a lot of the global economies with world trade turning down, GDP growth turning down. So there's a lot of risk globally that the economies of the world are slowing down, even though the US economy might actually be overheating. And so the dispersion of possible outcomes between the US being a really strong and positive economy and the rest of the world dragging us into a recession is quite wide, and that's creating a lot of volatility.
Asia stocks decline after China reports weak trade data. Do you expect the Asian equity market to bounce back?
Yeah, I think that really depends. I mean, the Asian market in total is probably further through the business cycle than a lot of the other economies in the world. In Australia, the property cycle seems to be turning down. In China, there's a lot of talk about corporate debt defaults and leverage. And the China GDP, although it's still pretty high in global standards, has been coming down. So the Chinese economy is sort of heading into a slowdown. I guess the one thing that might help us coming into year end is whether the global tariff war gets some sort of a resolution, and a positive resolution. That could help as we come into year end to give it a little bit of support.
Dollar had a mild recovery yesterday. Do you think dollar will continue to rebound in the near future?
Well, the big drivers of the dollar are relative interest rates and relative economic strength. And when you look at both those dynamics, the US is actually pretty strong. We've got increasing interest rates right now. We've got really strong economy. So you'd expect the dollar to keep going up. Every so often we get a hiccup in the road where it looks like the US economy isn't so strong. The employment numbers aren't as strong as people thought, and so people sort of pull back their expectations. But the reality is we should really expect the US dollar to keep getting strong while the US economy is stronger than the rest of the world.